On this episode of Travelogue, we're going to try and avoid altitude sickness as we continue to make our way from Yunnan to Tibet on the fabled Tea and Horse Trail. It's a bumpy ride as we head over to the only Christian church in Tibet. And then we'll get some salt-making lessons in Yanjing, and we'll get to witness firsthand the incredible feat that is a pilgrimage to Lhasa. There'll also be a chance to get our feet wet as we head over to Ranwu Lake. Enjoy!
Witnessing the hardships of the pilgrims to Tibet, escaping through Death Valley, and listening to hymns in the most remote church in China. These are some of the highlights of an amazing adventure along the 1,500-year-old Tea and Horse Trail. Travelogue takes you on a legendary and perilous journey, joining a modern-day caravan as it winds its way among the rugged mountains from Yunnan to Tibet. It's a journey through a land of almost untouched culture and natural beauty. Retracing this fabled cultural and economic lifeline in China's history, join Travelogue on a 3-part series, Adventure on the Tea and Horse Trail.
In the first part of the Tea and Horse Trail adventure, we made our way from Lijiang in Yunnan all the way to Dechin near the border of Tibet. We visited the biggest Buddhist temple in Yunnan, learned to make special Tibetan butter tea, and played vineyard games at the foot of the Mingyong Glacier. It was action-packed, but I guarantee you there's plenty more to come.
Welcome to a Travelogue special. It's our third day of the Chama Gudao trail that we're taking, and we've had to get up very, very early. It's actually now about 6:30, but we had to be up at 5:30 to ensure that we've got enough time to pack all of our stuff and have some breakfast. We're going to be driving for most of today, probably about over 300 kilometers towards the salt wells known as Yanjing, where I'll finally get to see what red salt and white salt, well, I've seen white salt before, but red salt really looks like. And then on towards Tibet. Very exciting.
We're slowly making our way through treacherous terrain into Tibet. We're driving alongside the Lansang River, whose tributaries affect the lives of over 60 million people in various ways, including food, water, and transport. Sometimes you need to pay a price to see places of such beauty, and our cross to bear is the road. It really reinforces how far I feel from the modern world. Now this is a real adventure.
We've been on the road for about 3 hours now, and in all honesty, it's probably been the bumpiest ride I've ever been on. There aren't any built roads yet, and what they're trying to do, as you can come see, is they're just concentrating on clearing the rocks. As you can see, that's why we've had to take a quick toilet stop so that we have a chance to actually get rid of the rocks and then drive on.
We come across a group of men carving rock out of the side of a mountain. They're building a road further up the trail. Price for this? Around 2 million RMB per kilometre. To call this a dirt road is an understatement. Still, this hardly comes as a surprise, considering it's a relatively underdeveloped part of the country. The route often finds itself victim to falling rocks and landslides. Actually, our trip to Yanjing is almost cancelled due to a landslide shutting off our path. Luckily, the good weather saves us. You have to be prepared to clear the debris off the road if you want to continue. I guess it's what generations of the Magwoto had to do.
in some respects, they still actually use the horses now to carry things across treacherous lands like these. And to be honest, they look more at ease on this road than we do in this big car.
I wanted to chat with them and maybe hitch a faster ride.
Well, we've left the cars behind for the last couple of meters or so. We're just travelling along, seeing what it would actually feel like to be walking along with the Magoto on the Chamagudao. It's pretty tiring just walking, actually, to be honest.
Tradition and modernity, cars and horses travelling at the same pace on the tea and horse trail. Interestingly, they tell me later that horses weren't always the animal of choice. Often donkeys were preferred because they can adapt better to the adverse weather conditions. Now here's an uncommon sight, a Christian church in a Tibetan architectural style.
I'm actually extremely excited about this part of the journey. I've arrived at the only Christian church in the whole of Tibet, and it was established here 150 years ago by a French missionary.
The church was built in the late 19th century by French missionaries from the Paris Foreign Missionary Society. The priest in residence at the church tells me that there are about 800 Christians in that area and that they all get along very well with their Buddhist neighbours. Interreligious marriages are quite common here, and people often keep to their own faith, following one's matrimonial union. The whole group is fascinated by the church, but especially with the people singing inside. What I find fascinating is that the hymns are sung in Tibetan. Whilst most of the others are busy taking pictures, I sit back and enjoy the hymns. As for the hymn books, they are over 100 years old. I also come across a Tibetan Bible, which I'm told was first printed in 1948. When I think about it, it's quite remarkable to find what is the most widely read book in Western countries here in remotest Tibet. Not far from the church, along the Lansang River, we come to what the locals call the salt wells. Yanjing, which literally means salt well, has made its name by producing salt for the past 1,500 years. The Yanjing section of the Tea and Horse Trail was the key link between the kingdom of Tubo in Tibet and the kingdom of Nanzhao in Yunnan. Down through the centuries, these two kingdoms regularly came to blows over the salt fields. Their rivalry is hardly surprising when you think that in the days of Tubo, salt was more expensive than gold. It's said that at its height, Yanjing would welcome between 400 and 500 horses a day passing along the Tea and Horse Trail. In these parts, it's the women who tend the salt fields. They collect the salt, while their menfolk maintain the facilities and transport the salt for sale. The women carry buckets of water, each weighing about 30 kilograms, up from the wells and pour the water over the platforms. The salt is harvested from these platforms, covered with smoothly packed red earth, rising up the sides of the gorge on stilts. A second harvest of the salt stalactite yields something quite unusual, red salt. The change is achieved by allowing the water to remain in the pools and evaporate. The reddish salt left behind takes its colour from the iron oxide in the earth. Locally, it's called peach blossom salt. The livestock in this part of the region consume the Yanjing salt. It's said to improve their fertility. Maybe this explains why people around the region still use this salt. As the water trickles through the packed soil, pure white stalactites of salt form underneath the platforms, which the women collect. And that's how you get salt.
Well, it's day 4 of our wonderful adventure. We arrived very late last night into Mangkang, our first stop in Tibet, so I haven't actually had a real chance to look around, but I'm going to try and do some of that now. We're here at an important Tibetan monastery called Ve Se, and I'm just going to go in and have a look.
Since this is my first ever visit to a Tibetan Buddhist temple in Tibet, I'm careful to follow the guidelines I've been told about previously. And so, I remember to circle the temple clockwise and not touch any religious items. Ve Se Temple belongs to the Gelug sect of Tibetan Buddhism, which is also known as the Yellow sect. It's so called because its adherents wore yellow hats when the sect was formed in 1409. The Yellow sect prohibits its monks from marrying and having children. The temple, as well as being home to 60 monks, holds regular rituals as well as an annual butter lamp exhibition. It's quite startling to see the number of people who come here to pray. Everyone I come across is spinning a mani wheel. These devices consist of a spinning cylinder containing copies of the sacred mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, written in ancient Tibetan script. The belief is that repeating this mantra accumulates merit. Having owned its own caravan, the monastery played a major role on this part of the tea and horse trail.
We're extremely lucky on this whole trip. I'm seeing things I've never seen before. Here we've got 2 people who are doing a pilgrimage all the way to Lhasa. So if you have a look, that's not easy. That's not easy. That takes a lot of effort to do that the whole way.
What I'm seeing at first hand is a quite awe-inspiring demonstration of religious devotion. For Tibetans, pilgrimage represents a journey from ignorance to enlightenment, from self-centeredness and materialistic preoccupation to a deep sense of the relativity and interconnectedness of all life. The removal of materialistic preoccupation is clear for everyone to see. These people travel at an average of 7 kilometers a day. They prostrate themselves in this manner from sunrise to sunset. Accompanied by a small trailer of supplies, their pilgrimage will end at the same destination as ours, Lhasa. We'll be there in 4 days, but it'll take them another 9 months.
Running from west to east, we have the New River up top, the Lansan River here, and through the bottom we have the Jinshan River. And we're driving from Mangkang to Baisu, and we've come to a beautiful spot here, which has actually inspired me to stop and point this place out. And that's a beautiful river here that runs into the New River.
The Lansan, Jinsha and Nu rivers run in parallel through this region from north to south for 170 kilometers, whilst miraculously never converging. This area is renowned for its diversity of flora and fauna. 34 endangered species of plant life here are under state protection. A quarter of the whole country's animal species can be found in this region, including 77 that are under state protection as well. This is also a place of cultural mix, as 16 ethnic minorities reside here.
So I've arrived in Tiantou, where we were told it's renowned for its beautiful girls. However, I've spoken with some of the locals, and they said they haven't heard of any beautiful girls here, and that it probably was back in the day there were beautiful girls. So I've gone for a walk around myself, and all I could really find was a couple of children and just one little girl. So maybe they knew I was coming, and they all decided to stay indoors tonight.
Presumably, since this is the first stop after the long and treacherous journey across the Bangda grasslands, it's no surprise that the men of the caravan would have found the female company so beautiful.
We're here at the fabled 99 Twists and Turns, and unfortunately for us, it's not actually a Tibetan dance move. It's actually what you see behind us, which are twisting and turning roads that descend very, very, very quickly. We're going to be going from 4,200 meters down to 2,600 meters within 10 kilometers. So, very excited about catching some altitude sickness.
Among the 99 twists and turns, there are 49 major U-turns. I actually started out trying to count them, but as darkness fell, it became harder and harder. I soon realized I was wasting my time, and anyway, I had more pressing matters to concentrate on. Due to the state of the road, we were well behind schedule. This meant we would be taking on the 99 twists and turns with the sun about to set. Everyone in the convoy was desperate to finish the descent before nightfall.
So we're about halfway down the 99 twists and turns, and haven't suffered any sickness yet, so I'm quite happy. But we have been in the car for about 10 hours, and it's been something. Now I'm trying to imagine actually being a Magwoto along the Chamagudao, and I'm amazed because even in the safety of this 4x4 car, I actually feel quite scared. It's extremely steep. I mean, we're going down, extremely steep gradient, and I can't imagine that if it was raining or snowing, how these people would actually deal with this entire place. I mean, amazing.
It took us 3 hours to complete this part of the trip. The last 30 minutes were by far the most hair-raising as we descended in absolute darkness with steep cliffs on one side, ready to welcome us if we came off the track.
Not asleep yet.
How could we be asleep? We're driving in the pitch black through 1 meter wide roads in steep 45-degree angle hills.
Yeah.
No one can sleep in these conditions. As long as he doesn't sleep, I'm happy.
We drove for another 2 hours in this state of permanent fear before we finally arrived at our destination, Basu. Basu means place at the foot of the mountain for brave people. It's no wonder, after negotiating those treacherous turns, that those at the bottom should be renowned for their bravery.
Fifth day.
If you ever find yourself traveling in a convoy, make sure you're equipped with a high-frequency walkie-talkie. This little device saved our skins on more than one occasion.
Billy, what are you excited about today? You're looking forward to the walk around the lake?
At the same time, people in the group used the walkie-talkies for a different purpose. They made jokes, chatted with each other, which also added something to the adventure. This made us all feel even more part of a team. We don't use air conditioning in the cars, and due to the dust, the windows are firmly shut. With the temperatures higher than normal, we're travelling in a sauna on wheels, fully clothed. And then an interesting situation takes our minds off the heat. Finally we're there, Ramwu Lake. Now it's time for our second major activity. After the debauchery of the wine tasting, some good old-fashioned walking is just the tonic we need. Since the group is made up of people from all walks of life, with ages ranging from 20 all the way up to 60, the organisers are very careful to advise us all on how to exercise at this altitude.
So we're beginning our 5-kilometre walk around Ramwu Lake, and we're here at almost 4,000 metres, and I've been told that this part of Tibet is known as the Switzerland of Asia, and here we're going to be seeing the Lake Geneva of the Orient. Another fact that you should know is that apparently at this altitude, if you walk with nothing on, it's the equivalent of walking with 20 kilograms on your back. So I've decided to bring a bit of extra and use these. Let's see how it goes. I don't think I need to use these yet.
人这一辈子，很难有这样的体验。对于我来说，很难有这样的体验。哎，在这儿行走是一种时尚，爽啊，爽啊！
We set off around the famous and vast Ramwu Lake, which sits at 3,800 meters above sea level. It's surrounded by glaciers and snow-capped mountains, and thawing snow forms the body of the lake. Intriguingly, the water is supposed to change colour in different seasons, from aquamarine to turquoise. I'm not a huge fan of hiking, but the enthusiasm of the group is infectious.
A much-deserved rest.
For once, I'm not the only one goofing around, as everyone is having a great time taking photos and enjoying another of Mother Nature's gifts.
My shoes, and my socks, and my feet at the same time.
And who said chivalry was dead?
怎么样？感觉背人的感觉？啊？怎么样？太滑太沉。
估计他挺累的。
心里特暖和是吧？
热。
别摔了，就这样，就这样。怎么样？
进水了，好多水。
水吗？
有，都是水，都是水，都是水。
加油，加油！厉害，厉害，厉害！扶一把阿姨，阿姨快扶一下阿姨。
啊，没事没事。
哎呦，您这是？呵。
好了。
怎么样，过的？
没事，挺好，挺好，挺好。
累不累？
挺好，不累，不累。
不累哈，真勇敢。
好。
值不值啊？
还有一双鞋，没事，值。我逢是车上赶紧换鞋。
啊。加西德勒。
加西德勒，加西德勒。
加西德勒。Tired.
The Palong Zambu Gorge is world famous and one of the deepest canyons on Earth. It's also one of China's 3 major areas of virgin forest. It's made up of numerous rocky slopes, some of them as steep as anything I've ever seen before. It's a fine place to enjoy some rock throwing into the Palong Zambu River below, especially when you think that the average depth is almost double that of the Grand Canyon in Colorado. This impressive sight is a perfect place to end the day and our episode.